welcome to the Art of Decluttering podcast. I'm your host, Amy Revell. Thank you to everybody who has left amazing reviews from the Mary Poppins series. I am so grateful that you've let me know that you enjoyed it, that you got something out of it, that you're inspired. I've also got some feedback on my Doom Boxes episode this week. I read every single review, so whether you do it through your Apple Podcast app or Spotify, or if you use the Google review link in the podcast episode, thank you. I've had reviews this week from Ukraine and from the States and from Australia, and it's so nice to know that I'm not just talking to myself each week, that you guys are out there, that you're listening, that you're enjoying it, and it helps me to kind of get, motivated to go, great, what am I going to share with my friends next week? And next week it is, well, it's not now, well, it is for you. Anyway, whatever. I'm recording this on Wednesday night. You're listening to this on Monday. I want to talk to you about cardboard boxes. There are so many memes around of like adulting is about going, I can't get rid of that box, but it's a good box. And I feel you people. I do myself sometimes look at a box and go, but it's a good box. And then I have to say to myself, good for what? Because often we just look at a cardboard box and think, oh, that's a sturdy box. We don't need a sturdy box, but we're impressed that it's a sturdy box. And I think over the last 5-10 years, the number of good boxes coming through our homes has gone exponentially through the roof because everything gets delivered to us now. Like even my toilet paper gets delivered to my front door in a box. And you kind of go, oh, that's a great box if I was moving house. I'm not moving house. Or I get like a meal delivery box, or you get, like even just if you order something online, it comes in a box and you're like, oh, what could I use that box for? It is so tempting to keep and store and think, oh, I'll keep just a couple of good boxes in case I need it. But can I let you know, there is so much cardboard trapped inside homes around the world. Sometimes when I walk into a client's home, I will say to them, all right, for the first 5 minutes, all we are going to do is walk around your house and collect empty cardboard boxes, crush them down and put them in your recycling bin because your home feels cluttered just because of the boxes. And I would imagine if my listenership is even just a little bit of a representation, there are many of you that need to wander around your house, pick up the 10, 15 cardboard boxes that are sitting around and actually collapse them and put them in your recycling. So we've got like these delivery boxes that we get all the time, meal boxes, toilet paper boxes, you've just ordered something online and you get it in a box. And if you really, really, really think it's an amazing box, why don't you just put it on a local buy, swap and sell and go, hey, I've got a box. If anyone's moving house, would you like to have my box? And you can put some other boxes inside it if you've got some other ones around your house. So there might be someone that wants to use it. But what I often find is I'll list something and then it's crickets because everybody else has their own boxes. And so I want to encourage you today, and I want to challenge you today to wander, pick up those cardboard boxes that things have been delivered in that you don't need the box for, and collapse it down today and put it in your recycling bin. One idea that I had, I was like, come on, there's got to be some uses for cardboard boxes. I came up with one that I thought was helpful, is you could have one on the go for your donations. So you wouldn't want it to be too big a box because it would take too long to fill and it might just kids would have a look in there and reclaim things. But you could have one cardboard box that you have somewhere set aside in a cupboard or in your lounge room or wherever you're going to keep it. And as you go through and you declutter, you can put items to donate in there. And then obviously the benefit is you take the whole box to the op shop and drop it off. So that's something you could practically use a cardboard box for. Now, this isn't practical, but this could be fun. I used to do this with my kids. If we've got a really big box, we would, say it arrived on a Monday. I'd say to the kids, all right, we've got 9 days before this cardboard box is going to be picked up and taken by the recycling guys. So for 9 days, do you want it to be a spaceship, a house, a shop or a cafe, a boat, a train, a plane? What do you want it to be? And you let them loose, let them decorate it, let them cut holes in it, let them live in that box if they want to. But you pre-warn them so they know in advance when it's recycling night, this box is going into recycling, because otherwise they can get really attached to it. If they want, at the end of it, take photos of them serving out of the shop or driving their car or whatever it is. And so you can have these memories without then also keeping the cardboard box that they've stuck stuff to and drawn all over. But it can be a good use of it. I'm putting in the proviso. I think it's probably wise, though, that it goes in the recycling bin at the end of it. We're going to go to a super quick break, and I'll be back after the break to talk to you a little bit more about like phone boxes and laptop boxes and shoe boxes, some of those things that you think, yeah, but Amy, let's address that after the break. Now, when it comes to the box that your phone comes in, or your laptop, or a nice pair of shoes that you bought, almost always you do not need to keep the original box if you need to return something if there's a fault. Yes, if you're returning it for an exchange or a refund, like pretty soon after you've purchased it, great. Don't just throw the box out if you think, oh, I'm not quite sure if I like this. I'm going to test it out. But other than that, let them go. You don't need to keep like the amount of homes that have like every phone box that they've ever purchased. No, they don't have the phones anymore. They've just got the phone boxes or the laptop boxes in the top of a wardrobe. There's shoe boxes in there and there's headphone boxes. And it's a bit ridiculous. Your home does not need to be like the cardboard box repository of your street or your neighborhood or your region or your country. When you have taken an item out, you're like, yep, I'm keeping it. I love it. Let go of them. If you think that you might sell something after you're finished with it, so let's say you've purchased, I think like how my boys would think is a really, really good pair of basketball boots, and you only wear them for basketball, so they don't really get dirty, they don't really get worn out. And when your foot grows, you might think, yeah, I'm going to resell these because they were $200 basketball shoes and I might be able to get $100 in a year when my foot has grown. Sure, maybe in that instance, you could put the box away somewhere where you're going to remember that you have it so you don't forget when it comes to selling it. But in some very small number of occasions, it could be helpful to keep the box for that item. And I would just encourage you, if you do have that space where you have like 2 or 3 boxes of things that you're like, yes, I am going to on-sell that then you go through maybe every 12 months and they're like, oh yeah, I totally just gave those shoes away, and you can get rid of the box. So if you're keeping stuff because you're like, oh, but I might want to sell it, I might want to, sure, but keep a limit to it. And you don't need delivery boxes. You absolutely do not need to keep a stash of delivery boxes or mailing boxes or that type of thing. Now, there are some other boxes in your world that you may not have thought about getting rid of that I want to encourage you to think about. So when my kids were little, whenever they got given a puzzle, and we loved puzzles when the kids were little, I would get rid of the puzzle box, because I found that because it was always just a box with a lid, it didn't have any way of sealing, the boxes would get like broken and the corners would rip and then pieces would go missing and I would get frustrated. So what we did in our house is as soon as we got a puzzle, I would take all the pieces out and I would cut out the image from the front of the box and put it all in a snap-lock bag. So when they wanted to do a puzzle, they would just flick through. We just had an area where the puzzles were. They would flick through, find the picture of the puzzle they wanted to do and tip it out of the snap-lock bag and then be able to put it away when they were finished. So maybe puzzle boxes are some boxes you could get rid of. Another box that we always got rid of, the very first moment we used it, was for card games. I just find it really frustrating that card games come in these packets that the cards always slip out of. Like they're always just, as soon as the card packet has been opened for once and you find another card and you slip it in, it hasn't quite got in properly and they go everywhere, we get rid of the box instantly. We keep them in little small kitchen containers. We found that they're just like the perfect fit, the Sistema ones. And so that might be a box that you could get rid of as soon as it comes into your home. Another box that I get rid of as soon as it arrives are shoe boxes. So I'm not someone who buys shoes in order to resell them. I don't buy super expensive shoes, but all my shoes come in shoe boxes. So I get rid of the shoe box straight away because I don't need to keep them in that. And I find that there was a couple of years, maybe 15 years ago, where I would keep my shoes in shoe boxes and I actually just didn't wear them that often. I would find that I would wear the shoes that were out of a box because the effort of going through the boxes and pulling it out and putting them up, I just stopped doing it. And so I went, nah, that's it. Shoe boxes are going. And Cal does the same. Our boys keep all of their shoes out of their shoe boxes, but they do have a couple of shoe boxes for pairs they might like to resell. And if you've got some shoe boxes that you've got at the moment, you're about to throw them out, have a think about whether a shoebox would make a great drawer divider for a space maybe that you're trying to organize, maybe a command station, or maybe it's your tech stuff. Have a think about those smaller boxes. Could they be repurposed? And if not, if you can't repurpose them straight away, don't keep them in case you could repurpose them in a year's time, because there will be more boxes in your world. And if you're a person who all of a sudden is like, oh no, I need a box and I got rid of all my boxes. Amy, why did you make me do this? Get on your local Facebook buy, swap and sell and go, hey, I need a box this size. Do any of my neighbors have one? And I can almost guarantee they will. Unless they've listened to this episode, they probably have boxes around their house. So if you're a person who goes, oh, that cardboard box is a good one, ask yourself, what would I use it for right now? Not what might I use it for, what might it be good for? Can I use it right now? If so, use it, do your thing with it. And if not, fold it down, list it on the buy, swap and sell, put it in your recycling bin, and don't be a family whose house is overwhelming because of cardboard boxes. And what you'll also find, just one last little tip for you, if you leave an empty cardboard box in your house for any length of time, it will attract clutter. And so that's what we see in people's houses too, is it's all of a sudden got a few kids' toys in it or a little bit of paperwork, and then it builds and it builds and it builds, and you end up with doom boxes because you're putting these empty boxes around the house and they're going to get filled. So get rid of them, get yourself free from that, create some space, and don't attract all that clutter that will just creep into them as well. Awesome. Come over, visit me in the Facebook group, the Art of Decluttering community on Facebook. Come follow my Instagram account, the Art of Decluttering. Find me in all the places. And until next week, enjoy the freedom. I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people who are the traditional custodians of the land this podcast is recorded on. I would also like to pay respects to their elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love you to rate and review the show on your podcast app. That will help others to find the Art of Decluttering podcast as well. If you'd like any more information, you can visit theartofdecluttering.com.au, and I would love to see you in my Facebook group. Just search the Art of Decluttering community on Facebook and join today. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day and enjoy the freedom.